Stanford. Tim Swartz, Austin Ota with you tonight as Stanford gets started. A sweep. The second set was close, 25-23, but the first and third, 25-17, 25-20. UCLA was victorious. And Austin, it is a big match in the MPSF, two of the top teams in the league.
Absolutely, you can feel it with the crowd. It's a good crowd on hand. Two teams that have had solid starts to their season, solid starts to MPSF play. And of course, UCLA is a little more than solid. The question is, can anyone stop them? Stanford just trying to get a little more momentum after last night's 3-set sweep.
The Bruins have dropped 9 sets in 19 matches. A big reason why. There's outside hitter, Sean Kelly, who just got the kill. All set out left. And the Cardinal keep this one alive. Clinton is roofed. 2-1 UCLA, the Bruins last night. One of the big pay points was aces, 9-3 in favor of UCLA. They're the number 2 team in terms of hitting in the country at 394. The number 1 in aces per set, number 1 in assists per set. And they have totally dominated everybody. Back set, right side attack, through and down for Moses Wagner, the senior opposite from San Jose. UCLA, they have played a treacherous schedule. They went to the Outrigger Classic in Honolulu in front of more than 10,000. They faced off with top 3 Hawaii, and they swept them. That was their last match before they had last week off. Stanford swept BYU 2 weekends ago at home. Last weekend they were off for finals week. And now they're back at it against the Bruins. Zach Rama, 6'8" outside from Phoenix, Arizona, had 6 kills last night, puts that one away.
Stanford did a nice job keeping Rama contained yesterday. It's gonna need to be a lot of the middles, both defensively and offensively for the Cardinal in this one. The middles on both sides, big stories for both of these squads.
Michael Wong Diallo hit .554 last night. He put it in, and Stanford gets the point to even it up at 3 in the first. Talking to John Costi before this match, he said the 2 things Stanford absolutely has to do to have a chance in this one is they have to serve well and they have to play their game. Serve well doesn't necessarily mean bomb it, just hit it with depth and with some pace and make things difficult on UCLA. That is not difficult at all, as David Decker, the lefty opposite from Winston-Salem, who puts it away.
That was all set up, though, by the fake from Thorne in the middle. Stanford, the middle, started trying to attack middle on middle, and you're right, out on the opposite side, David Decker, impossible to stop that shot.
Well, here's one of the best players in the country, Andrew Rowan, 3-time first-team All-American, number 1 in the country in assists per set, number 4 in aces per set. Great dig in the back line by Alex Rotman, and it's put away. Jacob Little-Phillips, the setter. Well, any type of scramble point like that, Stanford has to get. UCLA has totally dominated Division I/Division II volleyball. 4 straight trips to the national championship match. National champions in 23 and 24. In 22, UCLA was the number 1 team in the country the entire year, and Stanford got them twice. They beat them at home in Maples in March, and in the MPSF semifinals, they were 13-13 on the season, Stanford. They beat them at Pauley Pavilion in 5. So there has been some success for Stanford against this just rolling UCLA team. Well, point UCLA, they're going to call that one on the line. The Stanford bench, including assistant coach Matt Houlihan, thought that was a little bit long. And I think Stanford is going to elect to use a challenge here.
Big point early on. Obviously, 2-point match versus a tie match in the first set. Stanford, I really like the intensity it came out with in this one. Jacob Little-Phillips going up against, you said it, Andrew Rowan, one of the top setters in the nation. You've got a veteran setter in Andrew Rowan, a freshman setter in Jacob Little-Phillips, and Little-Phillips wants to show that he's here to hang, and if not more. Not a guy who's known as much for his attack, but got up there out on the right side, got a big cross-court kill, and that was a big point for Stanford. And I like this challenge early on.
The Little-Phillips, 47 and 52 assists against BYU last weekend. Kind of felt like everything came together for Stanford. They've dealt with injuries, and Coach Costi told me that the issue is, here's the call, and it will Well, the officials were pointing point UCLA. And yes.
There we go.
Brian Brink, the up official. Ray Mink, the down official. And they said, oops, my bad. It is 5-5. But Coach Costi said the frustrating thing was a lot of the injuries they were dealing with, there's no timetable on. They were unique injuries they haven't had to deal with. And Stanford hasn't really had their best 7 able to practice with each other and set up until really the last couple of weeks. Over left. Kelly, so good, beats the solo block.
And still all of that, and they're ranked in the top 15 in the country. They started 6-0 in conference play, and I think that just points to a dangerous second half of the conference slate, second half of the season.
Here's Cameron Thorne, first team All-American last year, hit .521. This year he's hitting .541, out of this world numbers as Stanford goes to the middle. Luke McFall puts it away. He's hitting .449 himself.
Talked about it early, absolute missile from the middle. Those are going to need to happen for Stanford against Cameron Thorne, against Michael Wong Diallo, these trees for UCLA that have been so dominant this year.
Oh, from the back line. Rama, he's 6th in the country in kills per set. Unbelievable numbers, just about 4 kills per set, a second team All-American last year. And it's not, the 4 kills per set are incredible. It's 6th in the NCAA, but he's hitting .361 while doing it. Here's David Decker, had 3 aces last night, top 10 in the country in aces per set, and he's long. Yesterday, 9 aces, 15 errors for UCLA. Bruins are an excellent serving team. Here's an excellent server, Alex Rotman, who had 8 kills last night. They set the middle, and when UCLA sets the middle, it's usually going down. Michael Wong Diallo had 8 kills last night. He's hitting .477 for the year.
And I think that is the biggest show of how dominant Andrew Rowan is the team hitting percentage. He has so many options he can go to, and it feels like 40% of the time, or UCLA's hitting .393 as a team. He's finding the right option.
There's one of the house rules. It's going to count as an ace. If the ball hits the bottom of the scoreboard, it might have been just outside of our picture. If it goes onto the other team's side, it is a point that you lose. You can't hit the ball off the bottom of the scoreboard to the other team. UCLA 9-7. Jump serve from Kelly. Nice first contact from Rotman. Stanford couldn't set up McFall to put it away. The lefty. Decker's dug out in the back line. Wagner, tough set. Rowan right into the middle for Wong Diallo. Longest point of the match thus far. And what a nifty kill by Nate Clinton. He had a nice match last night. 6 kills on 10 swings. He did have 3 errors. Hit .300. Outside hitter, one of 2 Stanford players from Amador Valley High School in Pleasanton, along with the man about to serve, Luke McFall. 8 serving 9. There's Connolly, the libero. And he sets it up eventually to Rowan Durama.
Some almost exasperated looks on Stanford after that one. Rama has come out a man on a mission. He looks great early on. The Stanford floor defense has been solid, but some he just can't stop. That's one of them.
UCLA, such a storied program, 21 national championships. This is their first 19-0 start as Stanford went over point UCLA since they went undefeated in 1984. They went 38-0 in 1984. 21 national championships. It was a long drought for the Bruins, 2006 to 2023. They didn't win any, but they are back as the kings of men's volleyball. 4 straight trips to the national championship game, and it's trending towards that again. Thorne hits a long. John Hawks, their second year as their head coach, only the 3rd coach in the history of UCLA. Al Skates won all those national championships for the Bruins, and John Speraw won the last 2 national championships, and now it's John Hawks, who was an assistant at UCLA, was the head coach for the Loyola Ramblers for a couple of years, and now he's made his way back to Westwood. There's an ace! Moses Wagner. That's the first ace of the match for Stanford, and they cut it to 11-10 in the first.
Wagner's looked terrific so far in this one. Had that kill on the opening serve of the match, then places that one perfectly right between 2 UCLA floor defenders. So much finesse to go with the power as well.
Deep serve. Somebody in the UCLA bench kind of mentioned out, and that's wide from Thorne. Oh, Stanford, those are the type of points you need. That one serve might have been going a little long, and it was a tight set into Thorne and a rare air for him. He had 10 kills on 12 swings last night. Maybe the best middle hitter in the country. Good run on the serve of Wagner. They've set back to Rama, and he ends that 2-point spurt for the Cardinal. 12-11 UCLA in the first.
And it's Thorne again. You talk a lot in like basketball about gravity of a player on the court, where you can kind of just sense, or route trees for a receiver in football. But it's Thorne. You sense the gravity. He gets the fake, and it opens up Rama on the other end.
Ace for Andrew Rowan. 35 assists in a 3-set match yesterday for Rowan. Had one ace as well. 112th match for Rowan as a setter at UCLA, 3-time first-team All-American. He's got his sights set on LA 28. He is in the conversation to maybe be the national team setter for that big moment for U.S. Volleyball. Long on that serve. 13-12 Bruins in the first. Nate Clinton, really good all-around player. You talk to John Cossey. He does all the little things well for Stanford. 6'4", outside hitter. Nice serve. Off the block, and what a catch by Austin. That one hit Austin's computer, and he just grabbed it with one hand.
You told me before the match I had to worry about the laptop falling, and my reaction time to the ball itself wasn't great, but the laptop, it's spidey senses.
Doug in the control room, very happy to hear that. He did not want to have to pay for Austin to get a new computer. On the back line, that's long and touched. It was touched by Stanford. So the point to UCLA as we have our first media timeout. 15-12, UCLA leads, and well, let's wait a moment here. John Costi put up the card, and Stanford is going to challenge this. So they're going to look for a touch.
Stanford 1 for 1 today on challenges. That's one of those where it's almost impossible to see just from our vantage point in real time. And it was, I'm honestly surprised that they're challenging this, just because I feel like usually when you see those, they're pretty adamant right off the play after it's called out or in or touched or not. They're usually pretty adamant that it was or was not touched. That was not the case. I didn't really see any conversation between John Costi and his student athletes.
Yeah, they do have there is a camera. And I don't think we have access to it, but there is a camera right on top of the net that can get that really good, because if you slow it down frame by frame, it is usually pretty cut and dry to see if a ball goes off of a finger or not off of a finger. So this is another big challenge. For the moment, 15-12 UCLA over Stanford. And Stanford wants to pull off the upset. Every little thing like this has to go the Cardinals' way.
We've already seen a couple of those today. We saw the left-hand off-handed attack by Clinton early on. We saw the first overturn call. We saw that service ace earlier from Moses Wagner that wasn't exactly the prettiest serve. It feels like early on some things are going Stanford's way.
Look what UCLA's done this year. They went to Long Beach. UCLA and Long Beach, along with Hawaii, have kind of dominated the sport the last, really since the pandemic. And they won a 5-setter in front of 4,200 at the Pyramid. They beat USC in 5 at home, or on the road, pardon me, at the Galen Center, and then they won at home in 4 in front of 5,300 against USC. Those are the big challenges, and then they won in 5 at UC Irvine. They went to Hawaii, who was top 3 at the time, and they won in front of 10,300. Let's see here what the official call is. Point Stanford. It did not. It was untouched, so it goes to 14-13 here in the first. John Costi, 2 for 2 in terms of challenges.
It's a good start.
Kalana Carrera, huge recruit from Mission Viejo. Second year on the farm, hitting .418. He had 3 kills on just 5 attempts yesterday, and that's one of the things Stanford would like to do, is it is hard to get your middles involved against UCLA because they serve it so well. Through the window, Sean Kelly. And now, I lied to you. Now we have the media timeout. 15-13, UCLA leads Stanford in the first. Tight one here at Maples between number 1 UCLA and number 14 Stanford. UCLA leads Stanford. The first media timeout. Tim Swartz, Austin Ota with you. UCLA, number 1 in the country, the only undefeated team left in the country, number 1 in RPI. They're number 1 in everything, pretty much. Second in the country in terms of hitting percentage, first in assists per set, 6th in aces per set. There is no weak spot to this UCLA team. Nice back set and put away by Wagner.
Not a ton of weak spot in his game as well. One of the most efficient players on the Stanford team that's really had to carry a load. You mentioned that Stanford hasn't really had its best 7 at any point in the season, and that's made Wagner have to play a little bit different of a role this season, and he's been great.
Miss hit serve by Jacob Little-Phillips. Point to the Bruins. David Decker. Only had 4 starts coming into this year. It's his 4th year now at UCLA. He's become the starter at opposite. He's just kind of one of those classic-looking opposites. Lefty, got the long hair, and hits the ball extremely hard. Rowan to the back line, another attack from the back, and it's Rama, the second-team All-American last year, who puts it away.
Pretty good start to the match for Rama. 5 kills, 7 swings, just 1 error. Continues his efficiency. You can see why.
This is the dangerous part of the set for Stanford. It's 17-14, and Decker can rip those serves. There's Porter Libero, who started up for the Cardinal, and Alex Rotman puts it away. I say Alex because it's so used to saying his brother's name, Will, 3-time All-American at Stanford, who is one of the best to do it with the Cardinal. Alex, younger brother, both from Santa Barbara. 6'6", back to serve. Hitting about 250 this year. Rowan sets middle. Wang Diallo. Stanford keeps it up, I should say, sends it over free. Nice job by Connolly. Libero to get things rolling there for UCLA. And then it's Decker who puts it away. Chris Connolly. 4th-year junior from Naples, Florida. He started the last 2 years for Long Beach State. He's a transfer in 2025. He beat UCLA in the national championship game. 2024. UCLA beat Long Beach State in the national championship game. That have a chance for a trilogy of those 2 teams. Overhit, dumped down by Rama. I think John Costy's going to think about a timeout here with a 19-15 in the first set. Timeout Stanford, and the Cardinal in danger of having this set that was very tight slip away from him. 19-15, number 1 UCLA gaining control and grabbing control here in the first. 19-15, UCLA leads Stanford. Cardinal were not in action last weekend, but the weekend before they swept BYU to get to 6-0 in the MPSF. And it was a lot of fun on the farm. Volleyball day in the Bay. They were cooking hot dogs. Daniel Rasai, the former Stanford assistant, was cooking hot dogs. Matt Houlihan, the Cardinal assistant coach, Yal Rodriguez assistant coach, put it all together. And they want to make it a yearly thing. Got a huge crowd for those BYU matches. And Stanford men's volleyball was very happy with how volleyball day in the Bay went. Very, very happy with how that point went. 19-16, UCLA's lead cut to 3. And now Stanford will start using some subs here. Luke Morrison, 6'4", opposite from Southern California, coming as a service specialist. He's going to try to bomb this one in. Great serve. Hit over free. Second crack at it, put away. Moses Wagner cuts the Bruins advantage to 19-17.
All set up by the service from Morrison, who's been really, really good at the line of service this season. Didn't play yesterday, coming out firing here in Game 2 against the Bruins.
Second crack at it for Morrison. Another really good serve. Handled well. Rowan sets left and put away by Rama. That's a monster first set for Zach Rama. 7 kills. UCLA, they really only played 9 guys. They only played 9 last night. Trent Taliaferro, 6'5" setter from San Clemente, is back to serve. Had 3 aces against Stanford last year at Pauley Pavilion. Serving 17. Off the let cord. Set middle, put away by Carrera.
It's been relatively quiet here in the first set for Carrera. That was anything but that. Split the middle, tooled it to the outside half, and put it right through the arms of one of the UCLA defenders.
Definitely quiet. That was his first swing. A lucky serve there for Stanford. It's off the let cord. Rama dug out by the outstanding libero Porter from the back line. Stanford cuts it to 2019. Alex Rotman. And UCLA is forced to use a timeout. Well, it was 19-15. The Bruins looked like they were going to run away with the first set, but Stanford has not gone quietly into the night. 2019 the score in the first after the timeout by the Bruins. A defense optional in this first set. UCLA hitting .591. Stanford hitting .579. Just one block in the entire first set. It was Wang Diallo and Rowan combining for one for UCLA. Stanford hasn't had a block. And really, Austin, both of these teams' offenses are just clicking.
And not what we normally see from UCLA defensively, a team that allows its opponents to hit just 241. Not what we usually see from Stanford offensively, a team that's sub 300, a good, not great offense this season, a team that relies on its block. Not very par for the course so far.
Both teams are hitting the, whatever you want to say, out of the ball. And there's somebody who's really maybe one of the best hitters in the middle, or best hitters anywhere in the country, Cameron Thorne. That's his second kill on just 3 swings. This is a good rotation for UCLA. Their setter Rowan is in the back line. 21 serving, 19. Stanford absolutely has to side out this point to have a chance. Great serve by Rowan. Dug out by the Cardinal. Rotman from the back line. Long and untouched. Huge point for UCLA. And John Costi is going to use his third. Use a challenge for the third time. He's 2 for 2 in the set.
Looks like Rotman was pretty convinced that hit the fingertips of UCLA's middle, but you're right. Stanford's got to side out this one. And the first two have been big momentum challenges. This would be the biggest of them all. The scariest thing, I think, right now for Stanford against UCLA is UCLA hitting over 600 in this one. Cameron Thorne hasn't really gotten going. He's only got 3 swings. And he had kind of that look in his eye after that last kill that he had where he was, even as Andrew Rowan was walking back to the line of service, even as the play was going on, he was shaking his head. He's not happy with how he's been playing so far in this one. And that's dangerous because if he gets unlocked, it becomes impossible to stop this UCLA offense.
Yeah, Rama last night had 7 kills, hit 200 for the match in a 3-setter. Rama already with 7 kills tonight after 6 last night, and he's hitting 600. Everyone's hitting well. Sean Kelly's 3 krills on 3 attempts for Stanford. Just 2 hitting errors for the moment. One of them against Rotman on this play. If they switch that from an error to a kill, it'll be 4 kills for Alex. As of right now, it's 3. Moses Wagner has 3. This is a pivotal call in this match. Ray Mink, the down official, looking at this one. And here's the call. Call is confirmed, is the call. It was from our PA announcer. 22-19, UCLA.
Oh, reversed.
Oh, reversed. No.
Very big difference in those 2 words that they just said over on the PA table.
The UCLA bench is like, oh, you didn't say it was confirmed? And Cameron Thorne is saying, he's kind of telling the truth to the up official. Yeah, that one just hit the top of my fingertips. So that's a big point. And, well, here's the super sub that John Costi was telling me about. Darren Briette, setter, who in this rotation, Stanford has 3 blockers, 3 hitters on the front, and Briette will be the setter. 20 serving 21. That's wide and untouched. Hitting error by Decker, and we're tied at 21. It was 19-15. UCLA was in total control of this set, and now Stanford's won 6 of 8 points.
We talked about the 50-50 balls coming into the game today. 3 challenges have gone Stanford's way. That's going to help a ton, but that just points to them playing cleaner to this point than UCLA has.
Another really good serve from T. Just dumped up in the air. Decker sends it over. Tight set, back set. Wagner couldn't put it away. Rowan, back set, and Kelly. Oh, every time you feel like the Bruins get into a pivotal point like that, a scramble, they just win those points. And that was a huge point for UCLA, 22-21 in the first.
I thought Carrera might have had a block in the middle there, too. It was a scramble to get back, and looked like Stanford was just out of rhythm the entire rest of the set.
Rama, great serve, it's an ace. 23-21, UCLA. Coach Costi has 1 timeout left. He'll use it. We'll take the break. First set, the Bruins got pushed to the limit at 21 all, and 2 straight points for UCLA has given them a 2-point lead late in the first. Blistering first set. Stanford hitting 571, UCLA 519. That's in stark contrast to last night. UCLA hit 100 in the first set. Stanford hit 043. You just heard what I said. 571 for Stanford, 519 for UCLA. How are the Bruins up? 23-21. What's the aces? That is literally the difference. 3 aces for UCLA and just 1 for Stanford. 23-21. Bruins trying to serve this one out. No timeouts left for Stanford. 1 for UCLA. Rama on a roll on a serve. Another ace. And hopefully Evan Porter's okay as Rotman mishandled the serve and it hit Evan Porter, all freshman selection from the MPSF last year's libero, in the side of the head. So first set point here for UCLA, the match. 24 serving 21. Bruins will have 3 cracks at it. They'd love to put it away with Zakurama serving. Tough swing here for Rotman, and it is kept alive. I hear that come on over to the table. The lefty Decker puts it over as Austin and I get out of the way. Wagner couldn't put it away. Thorne and Kelly block it. A scramble point, a wild point won by UCLA, and they take the first set 25-21.
Well, you warned me about a couple things before the match today. You said watch for your laptop and watch for players crashing into you. We went 2 for 2 on that. Stanford goes 3 for 3 on calls overturned, and he still dropped the first set by 4. His attendance was reported about 1,300. Tonight is easily more packed than that. A good crowd, good first set, a lot of offense. It was a lot of fun. And Stanford now looks to even up the set score, take the first set this season against UCLA. These two teams, former Pac-12 rivals, now in separate conferences, now both in the MPSF, but two teams that are powerhouses in their own right. Stanford looking to take the first match against UCLA since 2023. And the Cardinals took 2 against the Bruins that season. Zach Rama was outstanding in the first set. Like you mentioned, last night held to just 6 kills, 3rd lowest this season for the senior and all-world player. He had 7 in the first set, and I think that night 1 was just a little bit of a blip for Zach Rama. He's back and ready and looking terrific here in match 2.
He had 2 aces for good measure as well. 9 points for Rama.
Not a bad 3-setter whatsoever. Stanford looking to make sure that this one, at the very least, does not go 3 sets as well. A good start, maybe an ace. And that one mashed over, and it's going to be out of place. So a good start to the second set for Stanford, as the Cardinals did in set number 1. A 1-0 lead here in set number 2.
Yeah, Coach Costi told me Stanford has to serve well, not necessarily speed. It has to be depth and change of direction and movement.
Wagner, another good one. This one set up in the middle, out of the far side. Stanford's block finally gets in on the action. It's been a quiet day for the block so far, and that time the answer from Sean Kelly, who puts down his 5th kill on 5 swings.
It's a little unfair. Connolly, the libero, is going to get a hitting error for that first point. That's not nice.
No, it was basically treated like a serve. He was behind the line of service. He hit it like a standing serve. This is Kelly, who just had that kill. Nice reception close to the floor. Carrera gets a good swing, kind of just mishit it. Now here's Rama off the blocks, and he puts UCLA right back on top.
Libero Connolly, that's his 2nd attempt of the year. And liberos very rarely get a kill or an attempt.
Especially not in such a well-oiled machine like this UCLA team is. Kelly on a little bit of a run of his own. That one an overpass and cleaned up again. Here's Rama, and he has been perfect tonight.
Kelly, it was not a good toss, and he kind of just adjusted to it. I mean, he is incredible. You can say that about everybody at UCLA, but Sean Kelly in particular is fantastic.
Came into tonight averaging 3.5 kills a set, doing so on good efficiency as well. From the middle, no one's there. Stanford a little bit out of sorts here after that first point and another kill. 4 straight for UCLA.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same exact thing. Stanford does look totally out of sorts right now. You see assistant coach Matt Houlihan kind of trying to encourage the team and settle them down.
A thrilling end to the first set.
The thing about UCLA, they're just such a well-oiled machine. Once they get going, it's hard to stop them.
Kelly, another terrific serve. That one dug out by Porter. Here to the near side, off the block. Now Porter sets it up, back to the near side. Second try, Clinton puts this one down, and it's 4-2. So Clinton, who had a nice first set, not necessarily in volume, but it felt like he was doing a little bit of everything, defended the floor pretty well, and had that nice left-handed, off-handed attack. Now goes back to the line of service. Good serve here out towards the right boundary. Now cross court, it's Decker that misses wide and long, and Stanford answers with 2 of its own. So 4-3 lead here in the second set. Stanford took the first serve, UCLA the next 4, Stanford the next 2. With the veteran Clinton, another terrific serve off the roof and down, and a point for the Cardinal.
I hit the scoreboard, and the scoreboard here at Maples is quite low. So it doesn't come into play too much, really ever. I've never seen it come into play for basketball, but men's volleyball, it comes into play quite a bit. I think it's hit the scoreboard in some part 3 times today already.
Clinton again, another one that scrapes the tape. A back set to Decker, and an overpass. Now the cleanup from Wang Diallo. And it was, again, a little bit of an uncharacteristically quiet first set for Wang Diallo, who had just 3 swings, a very good player on the block. He'll go back to the line of service after his first kill of set number 2. Just 2 blocks in this one for UCLA, a team that averages about 2.5 per set. Palmed over. Rotman sends it long.
After both teams hit really high percentages, 500 for UCLA, 478 for Stanford in the first. Stanford 0 in the second so far. Early still.
Carrera sends that one to the floor and a side out for the Cardinal. That's good to see because Wang Diallo, though he's not the most aggressive player at the line of service, is pretty efficient. 8 aces to 14 errors this season. And now the Cardinal get the ball back in their hands with Kamana Carrera at the line of service. 5 serving 6, Carrera pushes it short. It's another nice serve. Stanford's been serving it well, but that pass and the finish from Cameron Thorne was perfect.
Whoa, man. Rowan, that was a crazy one-handed set. And this kid is unreal.
Just eclipsed 4,000 career assists. A missile there. Joust at the net, and Stanford wins it, but it's popped back up. Now Stanford tries to get in system, but a net violation from Rama.
Rama went up, and Thorne tried to grab his jersey. Like, stop. And Rama was already getting up.
Talk about the 50-50 balls, those plays that you feel like have to go Stanford's way, and really Stanford's taken advantage of those today. Back is Little Phillips, the freshman setter, who's been terrific this season. That one-handed pass again, and it leads to a perfect play from Rama.
Yeah, that's how UCLA hits 394 for the season. And Rowan has had 2 outrageous one-handed passes, one-handed sets in this set already.
Up to 19 assists already. That serve misses long, and Nate Clinton tumbles out of the way. So watch that one go past. That's just the 5th service error for UCLA in this one. Team that the only statistical category that their opponent is better than them at is service errors. Rotman, that might have been going along, but it was pushed on the back line. Now off the block, Rotman goes all full extension to keep that one in. Here's Clinton to the back line, and it's gonna fall. Just shy of the dive from Connolly, and we're tied at 8.
That was a fantastic pass by Little Phillips It's a hard pass to make, right to the pin.
8 even. Stanford looking for its first lead of the second set since it was 1-0 Cardinal. Rotman back, and he leaves it short. Little Phillips, 14 assists. Andrew Rowan is 19. Rowan is just one of the best in the world. Also 4th in the nation in service aces. This is Cameron Thorne that has a service error. At number 40 this season for the senior. Stanford subs in Luke McFall. He'll go back to serve. The redshirt junior, who has been incredible offensively of late. Here he misses short, and I believe that's 3 straight service errors.
Yeah, that's just kind of how volleyball is in
Right.
2026 men's ball. You have to bomb your serves. If you send it over easy and let teams get in system, you got no chance defensively.
Decker over the top tape. Now to the far side. Cross court Wagner. And he's been stellar in this one. Tied at 10. Stanford dropped the first set by 4. Battled back from an early deficit here in the second set. Wagner has a team high 4 kills. Nearly an ace there, but a diving reception. Now Decker goes cross court. Back to Wagner. Off the block. Falls to the back of the gym, and Stanford takes its first lead since 1-0. And I believe UCLA is going to challenge.
Yeah, they think somebody on Stanford went into the net. So we'll see here. Yeah, they're going to put a challenge in there. Will John Hawks.
So we saw a lot of offensive efficiency in the first set from both these teams. Stanford, to its credit, has found a way to up its offensive efficiency here in the second, hitting 500 in the second set. UCLA, just 267 in the second. Stanford's floor defense has been really solid, and for me, the block seems like it's coming into form a little bit better for Stanford as well in that front.
Yeah, you just have to make things difficult. I mean, UCLA, they're number 2 in the country in hitting. The last 2 years, they're number 2 and number 1 in hitting. They've been number 1 or 2 the last 3 years in hitting. And UCLA does it with precision passing. And I think Stanford has done a pretty solid job in terms of making things difficult with their serve.
Hasn't necessarily shown up in the service aces yet for the Cardinal, but I agree. I think UCLA has been out of system a good amount. And just a little more uncomfortable here in the second set.
I think from a mental standpoint, it's a really big points decision.
And we'll see.
Stanford did go into the net.
So instead of an 11-10 Stanford lead, it's an 11-10 UCLA lead.
You mentioned it too. I mean, it was 1-0 Stanford in the set. They haven't led deep in a set, and it's a mental thing. I mean, UCLA has not trailed once we've gotten any sets going, really.
Here's Sean Kelly, and Stanford answers right back with the service error. That's the 7th of the match for UCLA. That'll send Nate Clinton back to the line of service. Clinton has been very strong today. 4 kills, 8 swings, just 1 error. Another bomb across from Clinton. From the back row. Precision that time from Sean Kelly.
There's the touch. Kelly, 7 kills on 9 swings. He's hitting 777. Rama's hitting 600. So their outsides have been extremely sharp. They didn't hit it great yesterday. 222 for Kelly and 200 for Rama.
Carrera is the guy that's going to hit at a high percentage. That one right on the crease on the outside. And Carrera, after a quiet first set, picking it up here in the second. Stanford even at 12. Here's Carrera. Punches it over. Kind of a short one. Again, the fake from Thorne. It opens up the outside, and UCLA gets it right back.
Yeah, it's too easy for UCLA. Rowan just going to pick the Stanford block apart.
Here he nearly picks the back line apart. That was a rope, but the answer from McFall, who's been stellar, hitting .560 over his last 6 matches. McFall stays red hot with that kill.
They're both Mana and Luke, 3 kills on 4 attempts, no errors, both hitting .750 through the middle for the Cardinal.
13 even. Another good serve. Lunging over to his right, Connolly, and then that swing from Thorne goes long. And Stanford takes its first lead. Now officially, we'll see if there's a challenge. Don't think there's any. Stanford will take its first lead since 1-0.
Little slide there. You don't see that in men's volleyball too much.
Little Phillips, the freshman again, goes cross court and knocked down by Tim Swartz. And an ace for Jacob Little Phillips.
I will take a
21. And this second set has been Stanford's calling card this year. Stanford 11-7, averaging 23 a set in set number 2. UCLA has been equally, if not more, dominant here in the second set. This is Little Phillips again. A nice serve from the middle, though. Cameron Thorne. Ouch! 15-14.
The second set was the tightest last night, 25-23. Stanford needs to win this set if they want to have any chance in this match. They've played pretty well this set. And first set, it was 21-all. UCLA won the last 4 points.
Rama. Nice reception by Porter to the far side. Rotman. And Rama digs it out on the other end. Good rally as that one sent off the block, and a diving attempt by Rotman sliding over to his left, but UCLA's answered with 2 of its own, and we're even at 15.
Yeah, Decker, it's such an advantage to have a lefty, and he's just that classic opposite. 6'9", got the long hair, just smokes the ball, and he's a big reason why UCLA is 19-0.
This guy hasn't been bad either. Rama, that one dug out. Here's Little Phillips to the near side. They tried to go finesse at Moses Wagner, who's had a rocket of a right arm. That time, UCLA read it perfectly, and the block by the Bruins. And it's 3 straight for UCLA, and we'll see now. John Costi elects to use a timeout soon. Rama again. Scanning, back row attack to the back of the gym, kept alive, kickball, and Stanford evens it at 16. That was a laser beam.
We found the only thing maybe Andrew Irwin can't do. Pass it with his feet.
Yeah, would not be a great soccer player, but you don't see a lot of 6'6" midfielders. Alex Rotman. After Stanford gets side out, Rotman. Now the near side, Decker, and a nice dig on the other end by Porter. Off the hands, another good rally. This one set up by Rama to the far side, and Stanford keeps it alive. Trying to take advantage and take the lead. That's exactly what the Cardinals do on Alex Rotman's swing.
A great set by Little Phillips. He was just kind of in a weird spot in the court, and his only option really was to go to Alex from the pipe.
Rotman just tied the team high in kills tonight with his 5th. He's done so on 9 swings, just 1 error. Back to serve. A little bit long. So back and forth we go. You said it. These teams were tied at 21. Back in the first set, UCLA had a late push. Stanford really hasn't had a push like that so far. There was a little one right around that time. Stanford trailed by 4 in the middle part of that first set. Taliaferro into serve. Little Phillips, backline attack. Up in the air, out of play. Stanford retakes a 1-point lead.
Here's Luke Morrison. Want a point on his serve in the first set. That's all you ask. If someone comes out to serve, can you just get us 1 point? It is so hard to win points on your serve. UCLA 69% on the side out percentage, Stanford 64%.
Morrison, the lefty, goes cross court. And another lefty answers. David Decker is really, really good at volleyball.
Yeah, that's his 6th kill.
Morrison was useful in that win against BYU, and the 5-setter had a service ace. Here, Decker answers a service ace of his own, and it's 19-18. UCLA's taking the last 2.
John Costy's thinking about a timeout, if nothing else, to try to not allow Decker to get hot on his serve.
Decker, 35 service aces coming into the match today. The opposite gets it across. It's an overpass, and it's cleaned up again by UCLA. This time Sean Kelly goes net front, and it looks like John Costi is going to use a timeout. UCLA has gone on a run of its own. 3 straight for the Bruins, and we'll step aside. UCLA has scored the last 3, turning a 1-point Stanford advantage to a 2-point UCLA lead. 20-18 now, the Bruins on top here in the second set from Maples Pavilion here on the campus of Stanford University. Austin Oda, Tim Swartz on the call. UCLA took set 125-21, and David Decker has been a big part of the reason why. Decker with 6 kills, he's added a couple digs. A service ace. It feels like he's been even more impactful than that. Rotman receives. Now to the far side. Cross court and wide. That time Wagner with the swing.
Yeah, Decker, when he gets rolling on his serve, it is tough to stop him. At this point, Stanford absolutely needs a side out.
Stanford in system. Clinton has been one of the big reasons that Stanford's in this one so far, but no dice on that one, and UCLA has scored the last 5. John Costi is going to use another timeout, and it's all UCLA here late in.
UCLA's been, I mean, he only made 4 starts his first 3 years, and now he's one of the best opposites out there.
Cracks it over. Stanford again in system, and that's a big point from Nate Clinton.
And now Stanford, Wagner's a really good server, and they need 1, maybe 2 points for him on his serve to have a chance in this set.
Wagner, 4 kills on 11 swings, does have 3 errors today. Places it perfectly, a diving dig, an overpass, 2-hand touch, kept alive. Now to the far side, here's Kelly. Another overpass cleaned up, and Wong Diallo sends it home. And just like that, Stanford can't get at least 1.
John Costi thinks that maybe, yeah, UCLA went into the net. So he's going to challenge this.
Costi and the Cardinal 3 for 3 today on challenges. And
I think they already overturned it.
Make it 4 for 4. So take back what I said. Stanford does get the 1. with Wagner at the line. It's now 22-20.
Yeah, I think the down official talked to Andrew Rowan, and he said, yeah, I did go into the net.
Another good serve from Wagner. The give and go, and it misses wide. Trying to go down the seam and put it straight down. But Stanford has scored the last two. All right. So I said Stanford needed a little bit of a push. They're getting just that. Trailing by one. Timeout called by John Hawks, and we'll step aside once again. UCLA scored 3 in a row at 1 point. Stanford now has scored the last 3, and it's a 1-point set number 2. Moses Wagner said he needed 1, if not 2, with him at the line of service. They've gotten 2, trying to tie it up and get 3 in a row. But Kelly says absolutely not, and it's 23-21.
Stanford has to side out. Obvious statement of the broadcast, but Kelly can do some damage from the line.
Kelly, a really paramount dig there by Rotman, but then the swing from Clinton, and he leaves it short. And Rotman's efforts are for naught, and it's 24-21. Set point, and it's going to be really hard for Stanford to crawl back from down 2-0 if they can't score the set's next 3. Just where we were in the first set when Stanford dropped it 25-21. Kelly and Rotman digs that one out to the near side. Clinton off the hands of a blocker. Now it's set up into the middle, and that swing misses way long from Wong Diallo just off the side of his hand. And Stanford has a little bit of a pulse here in the second.
It's tough here if you're Clinton because you have to get your serve in. But if you hit it over too easy, UCLA's too good. So you got to find a happy medium here.
Clinton, 8 aces, 13 errors this year at the line of service. Good low toss. Dug out by Rama. Through the middle. And UCLA takes set number 2. Michael Wong Diallo, after the attack error, places one perfectly, and UCLA up the most.
UCLA will serve with Sean Kelly, 9 kills. He's hitting .615. Kelly last night had 7 kills for the entire match and hit .222. The outsides kind of struggled a bit for UCLA last night. They are not struggling at all tonight, with Rama having 11 kills and he's hitting .625. Double block! Stanford with Little Phillips and Carrera win the first point with their first block of the match.
Just as they've started out the first 2 sets of the match, getting up in this one 1-0. Got to keep it going.
Nate Clinton to serve. That one just off the let cord and down. John Costi saying it is dead week at Stanford before the finals week. He said it was the best dead week they had ever had. No stressing about academics. They had an alumni practice last week after finals on Saturday. Trying to rev back up after they swept BYU. UCLA 6-0 second on the MPSF. Pepperdine 7-0. Their first. Stanford is third at 6-1, but the Cardinals still have trips to Pepperdine into USC. They'll go to the Galen Center next weekend. Double block. First time in this match for UCLA's Christopher Hirsch. You know, Cameron Thorne is out there, and Hirsch starting this set, 6'9", fourth-year junior. He was a St. Francis Lancer. He's from Cupertino. It's a homecoming for him. Hasn't played a ton this season. It's just his 20th set of the season, but maybe a chance from John Hawks to give a fourth-year junior a chance to play here in his home area. Cameron Thorne, the server, first-team All-American last year. That one was nicely done in the middle from Carrera.
That Christopher Hirsch story is kind of what college athletics are all about, right? You've got two West Coast teams that have a lot of history with each other. You've got a hometown kid getting in, and when you have a little bit of leeway in this match, that's something you can afford.
St. Francis has been a great high school for a bunch of different Stanford sports, including men's volleyball. James Shaw, the All-American setter, was from St. Francis. 3-2 Stanford as we start the third. Officially an attack error against Decker. Has those 6 kills. UCLA 2 errors on 3 swings to start the set. Oh, the dump. Rowan. Now he's in the conversation for National Player of the Year. It's his 112th match at UCLA, and it's one of the advantages that UCLA really has over Stanford. They have so much more experience, including Andrew Rowan, the server. That's just wide. Watch out on the Stanford bench.
I'd love to see the velocity on that, because Rowan's look like they've got a little extra sizzle on it. And I don't know how the side judge got out of the way of that one.
Out of system here for UCLA. Rama has to get the assist, and he does. Great pass from Zach Rama off the nice save from Rowan off the let cord. And the Bruins even it up 4 in the third.
Stanford has played each of these first 2 sets really tightly. UCLA, it feels like in each of the first 2 has just gone on one little bit of a run.
An ace. Rama with the 6th ace for the Bruins tonight. And for Rama, that's his 3rd. Rama has such an interesting toss. Never seen a toss like this. He throws it up with both hands. Kind of just throws it up in the air as that one's off the cord. 5-5 in the third. UCLA 25-21 in the first, 25-22 in the second.
Maybe more people will take that, because I mean it works. You know, you see what he's done at the line of service, and you're right, it is very different, but there's a reason he does it, and it absolutely works for him.
Back set, down the line, wide and untouched for Decker. Another hitting error for Decker in the set.
Both these teams still hitting extremely efficiently. Stanford has plummeted since that first set, where it neared 500, but UCLA's offense maybe starting to show little signs of cracking.
And 3 hitting errors against the Bruins already in the third set as Rotman hits it long. That's the 7th service error against the Cardinal. Stanford hitting 360 for the match, UCLA 387. Here's Hirsch. Just long.
And that's a nice little rotation for Hirsch, who then checks out. You get the normal 7 back out in the rotation for the Bruins. But just cool to see. Again, that's what it's all about.
Thorne is blocked one-on-one. I think officially they'll give it to Carrera and to Clinton, but that was mostly Mana Carrera.
That is Carrera at his finest. Set up one-on-one, he gets up, he reads it perfectly, he doesn't leave any space there in the middle.
8-6 Stanford. You have to do your work early if you want to get a set off this UCLA team. They've lost 9 of them, and this is their 20th match as it was mishit. And when you're good, you're good. It goes down for the Bruins. They've played a couple of 5-setters. They defeated Long Beach State in front of just about 4,500 in 5. And they won in Irvine in 5. They had to pull out the fourth set to force the fifth as Carrera gets another kill. And one of the big reasons why UC Irvine was in that match, and UC Irvine last night got a win on a final point ace from Cameron Costi, John's son, who is the starting setter for the Anteaters. That's overhit. Joust at the net. Thorne keeps it alive. Rowan sets left for Kelly, who puts it away. Kelly back to serve. SoCal native, won the high school national championship for Loyola, one of the Southern California high school powers. Sophomore, it's all MPSF last year, honorable mention. And he's long from Clinton. So point UCLA, 9-9 in the third.
I really like how Stanford's playing in this third set. I think it's really easy to fall in the first 2 sets and lose some of that morale, lose some of that confidence, especially with how tight these first two sets have been contested. But Stanford has been anything but. I think they've been the better team here in this third set.
Great serve by Kelly. Clinton couldn't put it away. Rowan sets left. Hit over free. Rowan sets middle. Thorne. It comes off of his hand with a different sound. 6th kill for Cameron Thorne.
That was incredible. Just sliced it, but sliced it with some extra velocity behind it. It was placed perfectly, and I mentioned earlier, if he gets into his zone, it's going to be dangerous, and that's exactly what's happened.
You watch him at the net. He's the shortest of the 3 Bruins, including their setter, as that's hit wide by Carrera. Rowan is at the front along with Rama, and Thorne is the shortest pretty easily of the 3, and he's the middle. I mean, he jumps that high. His vertical is crazy. UCLA on a run here, 11-9, and no surprise, it comes on the serve of Sean Kelly. Point Cardinal trying to weather the storm of the Bruins. UCLA has not dropped a set since the second set against USC on March 6th. That was hit off the side of the hand of Clinton.
And to that point, it's not that UCLA hasn't played anyone either. You go USC, number 4 in the nation, then Lewis, a borderline top 15 team, Hawaii, who's of course number 2 in the nation, and then Stanford. They're doing this against top-end talent, and UCLA is continuing to separate itself. It's number 1 in the nation, and then everyone else.
The block. Hirsch was there. Rowan was there. The double block is 13-10 UCLA. Yeah, the Hawaii match, that was the last match that the UCLA played before this weekend against Stanford, and they went to Honolulu, and they played in front of a sellout crowd that was just rocking at the, I think they call it the Semper Fi Arena now. I'm not exactly sure. I just know it as the Stan Sheriff Center. But to sweep Hawaii on the road in a sellout in Honolulu is about as difficult as it gets in college volleyball. Rowan into the middle. Hirsch is blocked. McFall was there for the Cardinals. Stanford's block has come alive. It's their 3rd block of the set.
Do you wish it had come a little bit earlier for Stanford? Absolutely, but it's not too late. We've seen UCLA have to come back from behind 2-0 in sets. Stanford now just looking to gain a little bit of momentum, but that's a big momentum play.
Come on, Carrera had a huge weekend against BYU, and the touch as Carrera put it in, and Rama finished the point, 14-12 Bruins.
I think one of the more underrated aspects of UCLA getting off to this terrific start and dominating in so many of its matches is you can play with things like that, where it's not exactly textbook, it's kind of on the fly making things happen, and you learn how to do it in the games that aren't as close so that when games are a little closer, you can bring it out and it works in your favor.
Moses Wagner gets the kill. Bellarmine Bell from San Jose. Top 10 in the MPSF last year in terms of points per set. Here's the freshman, Jacob Little Phillips, high school All-American. And the freshman All-American last year, Sean Kelly, puts it away, 15-13 UCLA. And head back to SoCal, 20-0. 19-0, that's an ace. Yep, that hit the line for Rama. Last time they started 20-0, 1984. I didn't check the schedule 100%, but I don't think it's possible for them to get to 38-0. There's no way that even if they went all the way through the MPSF, all the way through the NCAA tournament and won, they would not play 38 matches. We don't play that many anymore, but 1984, Al Skates was the head coach at UCLA, the legendary men's volleyball coach. They won the national championship that year, and this is another UCLA team after 2 national championships in the last 3 years, 4 straight appearances in the national championship match. Looks like they are headed to that again. 17-13, 2 straight points for UCLA. Timeout, John Costi. Stanford reeling here in the third. 22 in the second, and here in the third, 17-13. UCLA leads Stanford. Cardinal have to side out here. Rama is on a roll on his serve. Oh, nice one-handed set. UCLA dug it out with Connolly. Cross court they go. Put down by the lefty Decker. And it's 18-13 out of the media timeout. 3 straight points for the Bruins.
UCLA is a team that ages really, really well in matches. It's just a team that already is good when both of the teams are kind of trying to feel each other out, and then once UCLA gets on a roll, it just dominates. There's a reason that it hasn't lost a 4th or 5th set this season.
And they have not lost a match. They've lost 9 sets all year. Oh, pinball! Stanford keeps it alive. Rowan, the set in the middle, and after all that, Hirsch, the reserve middle from Cupertino, just south of Stanford, puts an end to that. It is 4 straight points for UCLA. John Costa uses his last timeout, and the Bruins are 6 points away from 20-0. UCLA, 19-13 over the Cardinal. Theron Briette will come in for the Stanford, as will David Wolf. So a couple of subs here for John Costi, 19-13. And Zach Rama has been serving for a while now. That one's wide. Stanford has trips to USC, Pepperdine the next 2 weekends, and they'll have the final weekend of the MPSF. They'll play at home and home with the Menlo, just down the El Camino Real in Atherton. Second year for Menlo in Division II? Maybe their third?
Second.
Second?
Moving to
It's been John Costi in Stanford has really loved having a team. I mean, we talk about they're like 5 minutes away, 10 minutes away maybe, depending on traffic in the El Camino. And the other big news in men's volleyball, the old team in the MPSF that Stanford would always share road trips with and other teams would face them, Pacific reinstated their program. So that is great news in the men's volleyball world. Free ball over. Stanford trying to get back into this one. Briette, column T, sets it on a tee to McFall, who puts it away. 3 straight points for Stanford and timeout UCLA. When you're down 19-13 and down 2 sets to nothing, what you want to do is force the other to go to UC Merced. That's another MPSF match. They'll play one match down the road in Atherton, and then it'll be hosting BYU before the MPSF tournament starts April 22nd at BYU at Smith Fieldhouse in Provo. UCLA will host the semifinals and the final of the NCAA championship. Nice touch there from David Decker.
Crazy to think that UCLA will be in Haynesburg Pavilion at Menlo College in less than a month.
Yeah, that will be very fun for any Bay Area volleyball fan.
Absolutely.
It'll be April 12th. They'll kind of make their way up Merced for matches on Thursday and Friday, and then Menlo. That one's deep, and that's one of the things John Costi always told me about men's volleyball is if you men's volleyball, if you sponsor this sport, there's 50 teams in Division 1 and 2. They combine Division 1 and 2. Well, if you're a Menlo, you're UC Merced, you can get Stanford, UCLA, USC, some of the biggest brand names in your gym. And as if UCLA didn't need any more help, as Thorne gets the kill, they will host the NCAAs this year. 21-17, Bruins.
We already saw one 3-0 run from this unit for Stanford out on the court right now. And it's still a chance. You're still in this one. You got to get a side out here and then string together a couple.
Put away from the middle.
And that's big because with Decker at the line of service, he's the guy that went on the run back in the second set. You get a side out after his first serve. And now a chance for Moses Wagner, who has arguably been, early on I would say, was Stanford's best player. Got him back at the line of service.
5 kills for Wagner. Connolly, the transfer libero, that was all about him. And that fantastic first pass put UCLA in system. Thorne puts it away, and the Bruins 3 points away from a sweep.
If I could get 2 metrics from this match, I would want to see Andrew Rowan's velocity and Cameron Thorne's vertical, because he gets all the way up.
So many weapons on this UCLA team. David Wolf, really long and wiry player. Not Costi, when I was asking about who practiced well, who's been playing well, he made a point to say he thinks that David Wolf has been fantastic in practice. And just, you only get 6 subs per set. You just don't get a lot of opportunities for your bench to come into the match. So he said he would love to get him more playing time. And here he is, Wolf to serve. Just deep.
Good look. That's about as aggressive as I think that you want to be if you're David Wolf in that situation. Right towards that back boundary.
Here's Cameron Thorne, 6'4" middle. Hails from Hollywood, Florida. Played 2 years at Grand Canyon. He loved playing at Grand Canyon, and then the program was shut down as that one's wide. Cameron Thorne was a first-team All-American for the Lopes. Helped Grand Canyon to make their first 2 ever NCAA tournaments. And then they could discontinue the program, which was a total shock to everybody in the men's volleyball world. Thorne with a chance here to put it away. Stanford trying to keep it alive. Double block, and that is just untouched. UCLA thought maybe he went off the wire, off the antenna. No. All right, so Stanford needs to pop off 4 points in a row. And Ryan Duras, who John Costi said has our hardest serve. He can rip it. A senior from just south of the South Bay, Gilroy. Duras. Oh, that was a great serve. Rowan keeps it alive. And a point for the Cardinal.
The fact that UCLA almost got a point out of that, I think is such a tell of how incredible that team is. You go all the way to the far side of the scorer's table. You come all the way to the near side, and Duras keeps Stanford alive still.
Is Gilroy part of the South Bay? Am I wrong about that?
Depends on who you ask.
It's like the South Bay. You know Duras can rip it just wide. And that'll do it. It was not easy. As the final score will make it look like 25-21, 25-22, 25-21. Stanford had moments. They hit 292, which isn't bad at all. They hit worse set by set. But in the end, UCLA, the #1 team in the country, improves to 20-0.
You can see why UCLA is the best team in the country. Even on a night that Stanford played, I think, extremely well. They served it pretty well. They served it aggressive. They hit pretty well. The defense had its moments.